The content on this channel is intended for adult collectors only and not for kids. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about something that is maybe not so kid-friendly for today's children, but it was apparently for kids back in the 80s. We are talking Rambo, and specifically First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, and this here Rambo Lunchbox! New school year, new Lunchbox. I want Disney, I want a dinosaur, I want hockey, I want Star Wars, I want to trouble the Vietnam War veteran suffering from PTSD with 59 confirmed kills! Well, times have definitely changed, and something tells me that, you know, little, what do people call their kids nowadays? Something tells me that little Blaze here, you know, wouldn't be able to take this lunchbox here to school nowadays. Who the heck is in front of my house? Well, that's not the mailman. 1982's First Blood, starring Sylvester Stallone, was based on David Morrell's 1972 novel First Blood, depicting the struggles of a Vietnam War veteran named John Rambo and his struggles to integrate back into society. Thinking the war was over, he finds a whole new one in the last place he expected one, in the quiet town of Hope, Washington. There, Rambo is bullied by the local sheriff, who goes to extreme lengths to interrogate him and triggers Rambo's PTSD as a prisoner of war back in Vietnam. In the novel, Rambo dies. Initially, he was intent on suicide by dynamite, but ultimately decided it would be more honorable to die fighting. The motion picture did a beautiful job of lifting the veil around PTSD, and that it was not a means of personal weakness. The effects of war were indifferent to, you know, strength. It could even bring a man like Rambo to his knees, and these hardships had been swept under the rug by both the government and people veterans had hoped would extend a helping hand. Stallone had agreed to star in the film, but on the condition he was allowed to participate in the script rewrite. The original movie ending had Rambo asking the Colonel to kill him. The Colonel refuses, and Rambo commits suicide by pulling the Colonel's trigger himself. Stallone knew that audiences wouldn't really be satisfied with the ending and encouraged the director to shoot an alternative ending where Rambo actually survives. The two endings were then filmed back to back, much to the dismay of the producers, but the director went ahead and filmed the alternative ending in just 2 hours. When test audiences saw Rambo die by suicide, they thought the ending was awful. And with that decision to switch the ending, the Rambo franchise was able to carry on. In 1985, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo is sought out for another mission, this time to investigate the possibility of American POWs still alive in Vietnam. With an exotic landscape, a much higher kill count, and some pretty insane stealth kills, Part 2 certainly raised the bar for 80s action movies. It also has one of my favorite quotes ever.
What you choose to call hell equals home.
After discovering POWs, Rambo is then left for dead by the very same people that enlisted him for the mission, who ultimately wanted to sweep the issue under the rug. With his own government conspiring against him, endless carnage, torture, a kill count of 75, and a run-in with the Soviets, this movie was accurately rated R. For some reason, the people over at Ruby Spears thought that this would make a brilliant children's cartoon, and in 1986, Rambo: The Force of Freedom debuted. We now follow patriotic soldier John Rambo, who is part of a team called the Force of Freedom and goes on missions around the world, battling a paramilitary terrorist group named Savage. Rambo's PTSD terrors are swept under the rug and the violence drastically reduced, but the use of fictional countries and backstories echoing both historical and current events still existed. The cartoon was met with controversy, as it was the first R-rated movie to be turned into a children's cartoon, and it spawned a rather controversial toy line. With either the mentality of, children are gonna watch it anyways, let's give them what they want, playing the forbidden fruit card, you can't watch this R-rated movie, but you can buy merchandise and feel like you did, or simply grooming the children to grow up with the franchise, we'll never know, you know, with products like this. So this is the 1985 Rambo Metal Lunchbox with thermos, manufactured by, yep, thermos. It has notoriously gone down in history as the last metal lunchbox ever made. Of course, this wasn't the last metal lunchbox ever made, but it was technically the last metal lunchbox during this golden era of metal lunchboxes that started about in the 50s, and it ended here with this guy. It is approximately 9 inches long, 7 inches high, and 4 inches wide. Made up of plastic, paint, steel, and tin, it depicts Sylvester Stallone as Rambo on the front and back, and has camouflage print on the sides. The sides on my box are actually textured, and you can hear the paint crunch from not adhering fully to the bumps. And textured sides are apparently a more rare variant in terms of this lunchbox. So because this was made in 1985, and it's pretty safe to say we know what's going on the graphic here at the front, this is actually for Rambo First Blood Part 2, the movie. We have this sunset peeking through the clouds here over this, what I assume to be a Vietnam jungle landscape below, with some helicopters on the sides. I don't know if these ones here on the left are American or Soviet, but I know that this one on the right is definitely Soviet because it's featured at the end of the movie. And I feel like the sun is in kind of a funny place. It's right where his ding-dong should be, so the sun's like, amazing picture of Rambo here on the front, looking all veiny and muscular and oh! Okay, we're not fooling anyone. You guys would faint too if you guys saw this guy on this lunchbox in person. At the beginning of the movie, Rambo actually has a black headband for the first part. And then when his love interest dies, I totally forgot what her name is, he rips off part of her red dress and uses it as a band. And at the same time, he also puts her green lucky necklace on. So I believe whenever he is featured in the movie with that red headband, he always has that green necklace on. But in this case, on the lunchbox, they decided not to include the green necklace. And this mega gun, I have no clue what the heck it is. It's like an M60 or something with an RPG? I don't know. I was looking up all the weapons featured in part 2 and nowhere did I come across a weapon like this. So if there's any weapon connoisseurs out there, I'd love to know, if this is an actual thing or if it's just kind of like made up for the pictures and the promos and stuff, because I actually couldn't find this weapon anywhere. So we have a little bit of rust here and there, which is to be expected, from a 34-year-old used metal lunchbox, little bit of paint peeling in areas and a small dent here on the back, but overall it's in pretty nice display condition. Let's unclip the top here, and here is the inside. It's actually almost, perfect in here. There's just a little bit of dirt that I've been trying to get off, and it kind of smells orangey to me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep trying to clean that, but overall it's beautiful on the inside. So this is our thermos. I actually haven't opened it up yet because I'm a little hesitant to. I had a really bad experience opening up a thermos back when I was little. I just opened it up and for some reason I took a big whiff of it and inside was spoiled chocolate milk, so ever since then I'm just so hesitant to open up a thermos, but I will do this from afar. Let's see what's in here. Oh, it's like crystal. It's like pristine in here. Wow. I feel like this wasn't even used. Ooh, and we have that kind of old plasticky smell. Rambo! And we have our cup here on, we have our little white cup, and on the front of this is a simple Rambo white logo. Now, there are a few variations of this set that I have come across. There's the simple title thermos and the title and picture of Rambo thermos, a white handle versus a red handle lunchbox, and smooth sides versus textured sides, which are apparently more rare of the two, that textured variant. Apparently, in the 70s, a group of Florida parents protested that metal lunchboxes were dangerous in the hands of kids, and they were able to hit one another with these metal weapons. It's believed that this was the beginning of the trickle-down effect, and companies began making plastic lunchboxes in response. Some claim that that parental dispute back in the 70s didn't really happen, or if it did happen, it was just coincidental timing to when companies realized that plastic lunchboxes were a much cheaper alternative to metal lunchboxes. Metal lunchboxes lunchboxes would later peek their head back out in the late 90s, but in terms of the golden age of lunchboxes, which started about in the 1950s, Rambo marked the end of this golden age of metal lunchboxes. I got this gem on auction on eBay for $20 US plus shipping, and I think I got an absolute steal for having the textured side variant, a pretty nice looking and good condition lunchbox that is amazing display condition, and also a pristine thermos. I posted this on my Patreon site like a week or so ago, and I was so surprised to see that so many of you had this Rambo lunchbox. It's almost like the equivalent nowadays of someone bringing in, I don't know, like a Grand Theft Auto lunchbox to school with like a guy with guns and maybe like a prostitute or something in the back. I know you can't equate, you know, Vietnam War to Grand Theft Auto, prostitutes and drugs and stuff, but they're both rated R, you know, they're not really like for kids, but it's just kind of funny, the debate of what a child can bring to school nowadays. So in the comments down below, I'd love to know if you think that this Rambo lunchbox was an appropriate image for children to take to school back in the 80s. And do you think that it's an appropriate lunchbox nowadays for kids? You know, would you send your child to school with this Rambo lunchbox? And also let me know, what was your most cherished lunchbox? You know, I'm pretty sure everyone has a cherished lunchbox from their childhood. You know, was it Mickey Mouse? Was it the Jetsons? Was it Disney? Was it Dukes of Hazzard? Was it Happy Days? Let me know! So please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I come with new videos every week. Come check me out on social media and help support the channel on Patreon. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay legendary.